America's debt trap, when promises become weapons. $38 trillion. That's not a budget problem. That's a time bomb with a digital clock. And here's what nobody tells you. The United States doesn't want to defuse it. Because the moment America stops owing money, the entire planet stops functioning. This is the story of how debt became the most dangerous weapon in history, and why using it might destroy us all. Let's start with something simple. Your mortgage works because banks trust you'll pay. Their trust? It's backed by something solid. Now scale that up. Every government on Earth borrows money. They issue bonds. Investors buy them. But here's the difference. When most countries promise to pay, investors calculate risk, default rates, political stability, economic strength. When America promises to pay, the world doesn't calculate. It assumes. For 80 years, U.S. Treasury bonds haven't been investments. They've been religion. Banks don't ask, what if America doesn't pay? They can't. Because if that question has an answer, every loan they've made becomes worthless overnight. This isn't economics anymore. It's collective hypnosis. And the spell is wearing off. Here's how we got trapped. 1790, a newborn country drowns in war debt. Everyone expects default. Instead, Alexander Hamilton does the opposite. He says, we'll borrow more. And we'll pay every penny back. Crazy idea. But it works. America borrows. America pays. Investors notice. Confidence builds. Fast forward to 1944. World War II is ending. 44 nations meet in New Hampshire. They make one decision that changes everything. Global money will flow through the US dollar. Not because of gold. Not because of military force. Because everyone agreed to believe in the same thing. That agreement created something unprecedented, a nation that could borrow without limit as long as faith held. The debt wasn't a burden. It was the business model. Then 1971 happens. President Nixon faces a crisis. Too many dollars exist. Not enough gold to back them. So he cuts the connection entirely. Money is no longer tied to anything physical. It floats on pure trust now. And here's the wild part. It works better. Why? Because the world doesn't need gold. It needs certainty. U.S. Treasury bonds become that certainty. Banks use them as safety. Pension funds build on them. Countries stockpile them. When you hear national debt, think infrastructure. The roads and bridges of global finance. Every credit card. Every mortgage. Every international trade. They all rest on one assumption. America pays. But here's what makes it strange. America never actually pays. The U.S. doesn't eliminate debt. It rolls it over. Old bonds mature. New bonds replace them. The cycle repeats. Forever. This isn't failure. It's the system working exactly as designed. Other countries export oil, technology, cars. America exports promises. And the world is addicted to them. You want proof? Watch what happens when America even threatens not to pay. 2011. Congress plays games with the debt ceiling. Doesn't actually default. Just comes close. Markets erase trillions of dollars in days. America's credit rating drops for the first time ever. 2023. Same game. Different year. Same panic. These aren't financial crises. They're psychological breaks. Because the system runs on one unspoken rule. Doubt is impossible. The moment you question whether America will pay, you're questioning whether your own savings have value. So nobody asks. But here's the crack forming. Interest payments on U.S. debt now approach $1 trillion annually. Think about that. America borrows money to pay interest on money it already borrowed. The machine still runs. But it's making a different sound now. Meanwhile, the world is quietly hedging. China trims its treasury holdings. Japan does the same. Central banks buy gold again, something they hadn't done seriously in decades. Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia explore trade systems that skip the dollar entirely. Not because they hate America. Because diversification is survival. Each time Congress threatens default, investors flinch a little harder. Each time debt grows, the question gets louder. How long can this continue? The answer? As long as belief lasts. But belief is finite. Every empire in history learned this the hard way. Rome debased its currency. Britain watched the pound fade. Not because they ran out of money. Because they ran out of credibility. America isn't there yet. But the pattern looks familiar. And here's the terrifying part. A U.S. default wouldn't need to be real to cause damage. Imagine the U.S. misses one payment. Just one. Technical glitch. Political standoff. Doesn't matter why. In the first hour, Treasury bonds, the risk-free asset, become risky. Banks that use them as collateral freeze. They can't lend. Can't borrow. Stock markets don't crash because companies fail. They crash because future value becomes unknowable. Within a day, the dollar plummets. Investors flee to anything that feels solid. Gold, euros, even cryptocurrency. Interest rates explode. Your mortgage, car loan, credit card, all become unaffordable. Within a week, the U.S. government can't pay soldiers. Can't send Social Security checks. Within 2 weeks, global trade ceases. Not because ships stop moving. Because nobody knows what anything costs anymore. This is what default actually means, the end of meaning. Money doesn't disappear. But its language dies. And here's the final twist. America wouldn't default because it's broke. The U.S. controls the printing press. It can create dollars anytime. Default would happen because of politics. Because ideology blocks function. Because Congress treats debt like a bargaining chip. The machine can work. The question is whether we'll let it. And every year of games, every standoff, every threat, they add up. Markets have memory now. Each crisis leaves a scar. Each close call builds doubt. Empires don't end with invasions anymore. They end with diversification. The world won't fight the dollar. It'll just stop needing it as much. Slowly. Quietly. Inevitably. This is the real trap. The debt that made America powerful becomes its vulnerability. The trust that built an empire becomes the thing it can't afford to lose. Because once the world decides America isn't the safest bet, everything changes. Not overnight. But irreversibly. $38 trillion in debt. $1 trillion in interest payments. And infinite trust, until there isn't. The United States built the modern world on a simple promise. We always pay. For 80 years, that promise held civilization together. But promises wear thin when used as weapons. The real question isn't whether America can afford its debt. It's whether America can afford to keep threatening it. Because in the end, the world doesn't run on dollars. It runs on certainty. And certainty, once broken, is the one thing no government can print. The clock is ticking. And nobody knows when it stops. The next debt ceiling fight is already scheduled. The next political standoff is already being planned. And when it comes, the world will be watching closer than ever before. Because this time they might not blink. This time they might just walk away. And when the world finally walks away, there will be no warning bell. No crash. No announcement. Just silence where trust once lived. America won't lose its power in a single moment. It will fade as others stop depending on it. The most dangerous weapon it ever built was never its military or its money. It was the promise the world believed in, right up until it didn't.